am a dedicated and good woman. I was always loyal to my husband and never disrespected him in my life. But what he did to me was unforgivable. This is my history, and I hope you understand. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped me as I settled into my favorite corner of the cafe, the warm sunlight filtering through the window. I couldn't help but smile as I stirred my cappuccino, my heart fluttering with excitement. Today marked 3 years with Jake, and I felt as if nothing could go wrong. My phone buzzed, and it was Sarah, my best friend, reminding me that we were meeting later to celebrate. "Can you believe it's been 3 years?" I gushed into the phone. "It feels like just yesterday we were awkwardly navigating our first date." "I know, you two are perfect for each other," Sarah replied, her voice filled with genuine enthusiasm. "Jake is such a catch. You must be so thrilled." "I really am," I said, picturing Jake's charming smile. "He's everything I ever wanted. Funny, kind, and so supportive. I can't wait to surprise him tonight." As I reminisced about our relationship, I reflected on the countless memories we'd built together. Late-night talks, spontaneous road trips, and quiet moments wrapped in each other's arms. My trust in him was unwavering. I felt like I was living in a fairy tale. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I decided to surprise Jake at the hotel where he had mentioned a work meeting. My heart raced with anticipation as I envisioned his reaction. Would he be shocked? Excited? I wanted to celebrate our love in a special way. As I approached the hotel, my stomach twisted with a mix of nerves and thrill. But then my excitement suddenly turned to ice as I caught sight of Jake and Sarah exiting the hotel, their laughter ringing out like a cruel melody. My breath hitched in my throat. They looked so close, so comfortable, Jake's hand casually resting on the small of Sarah's back. I froze, instinctively hiding behind a pillar, my heart pounding loudly in my ears. I felt as though the ground had shifted beneath me, leaving me teetering on the edge of disbelief. Should I confront them? My mind raced with questions and doubts. The warmth of love I had felt just moments ago now felt like a distant memory, replaced by a chilling sense of betrayal. I watched, paralyzed, as they shared a lingering embrace before parting ways, leaving me standing there alone and shattered. I burst through the door of my apartment, my heart racing, and slammed it shut behind me. The world outside felt surreal, as if I had just stepped out of a dream that had quickly turned into a nightmare. I needed to talk to Sarah, to confront her about what I had seen. But how could I do that without giving away what I knew? I grabbed my phone, my hands trembling as I dialed her number. "Hey, Mia!" Sarah's cheerful voice rang through the line, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. "Hey, Sarah, I was wondering if we could meet up." I tried to keep my voice steady, masking the chaos within me. "Of course. Is everything okay?" she asked, a hint of concern creeping into her tone. "Yeah, just wanted to catch up. How about that little cafe we used to love?" "Sounds perfect. I'll see you in a bit." As I hung up, I felt a mixture of dread and determination. I needed to hear her side of the story, to see if she would slip up. When I arrived at the cafe, the familiar scent of coffee and pastries washed over me, but it did little to soothe my nerves. Sarah was already there, her bright smile lighting up the room. She hugged me tightly, and for a moment, I almost forgot the betrayal I had just witnessed. "Mia, it's been too long," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Yeah, it really has," I replied, forcing a smile. We settled into our seats, and Sarah launched into stories about her latest adventures. I nodded along, but inside, I was unraveling. The laughter that echoed around us felt like a cruel joke. "Remember that time we got lost on our road trip?" She laughed, and I tried to participate, but my mind raced. Yeah, good times, I murmured, my heart heavy with the weight of my thoughts. As the conversation flowed, I felt a growing knot in my stomach. How could she act so normal? Did she have any idea what I knew? I took a deep breath, deciding to test the waters. Hey, have you seen Jake lately? I asked casually, watching her reaction closely. Her smile faltered for just a second. Oh, he's busy with work. We've barely crossed paths. I nodded, but something in her voice felt off. Really? I thought he had a meeting today. I probed, hoping to catch her off guard. Yeah, he did. But you know how it is. Meetings can run late. He's always working hard, she replied, her tone defensive. I swallowed hard, sensing the tension between us. I just thought it was a little strange, I said carefully, trying to mask my suspicion. Strange? What do you mean? She asked, tilting her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. I hesitated, torn between revealing my knowledge and keeping my cards close to my chest. I don't know, just sometimes I feel like I don't see you guys together much anymore, I said, opting for a vague approach. Maybe we're just busy, she laughed, but it felt forced, a thin veneer covering something deeper. After Sarah left the cafe, I felt a rush of anger and confusion. I had spent the entire time pretending, trying to read her like an open book, but her pages were filled with secrets. I needed to confront Jake. I needed answers. And as I stood in my dimly lit apartment, the shadows felt heavier, like they were closing in on me, suffocating me with the weight of betrayal. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the city as I paced nervously in my apartment. It felt suffocating to think about Jake and Sarah together, laughing, sharing secrets I wasn't a part of. I needed to know more, so I decided to reach out to some mutual friends, casually steering the conversation toward them. Hey, have you guys seen much of Jake and Sarah lately? I asked, trying to keep my tone light. Oh, they've been hanging out a lot. Went to that new restaurant last week, my friend Jessica replied, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Really? I didn't know they were that close, I murmured, my stomach churning. Later that night, I made a decision. I would follow Sarah. It felt wrong, but I needed to see for myself. The following evening, I waited until she left her apartment, my heart pounding in my chest. I trailed her through the dimly lit streets, my breath hitching as I realized she was heading toward a familiar place, the same bar where Jake and I had our first date. As I approached, I saw them sitting together, their heads bent close, laughter spilling out into the night. My heart shattered. I hung back, gripping the railing of the nearby staircase as I fought back tears. Can you believe Mia thinks we're just friends? I heard Sarah say, her voice laced with a conspiratorial tone. Yeah, she's so naive, Jake replied, a hint of mockery in his voice. I felt as if the ground had dropped from beneath me. I turned to leave, my mind racing with disbelief and betrayal. The next day I knew I had to confront Sarah. Why did you lie to me? I accused her when we met at our favorite cafe, anger bubbling to the surface. Lie? What are you talking about? She feigned innocence, but I could see the guilt in her eyes. Don't play games, Sarah. I saw you with Jake. You two are closer than you should be. She hesitated, her face paling. We were just planning a surprise for you, Mia, I swear. Don't lie to me, I shouted, feeling the weight of our friendship teetering on the brink. I'm not! You have to believe me! Sarah's voice cracked, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for her, but the betrayal was too fresh, too raw. I don't know if I can trust you anymore, I whispered, my heart heavy with the weight of our broken bond. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress for what I hoped would be a magical evening with Jake. The fabric clung to me in all the right places, and I applied a touch more lipstick, trying to ignite some spark of confidence within me. I wanted to believe that I could brush aside the echoes of betrayal that haunted my thoughts, if only for tonight. Just one night, I whispered to myself, one night to remind us of what we have. As we sat down for dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, the dim lights flickered softly, creating an intimate atmosphere. The aroma of garlic and basil filled the air, but I could hardly focus on the menu. My mind drifted, replaying every moment I had witnessed between Jake and Sarah. I forced a smile when he glanced my way, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "You look beautiful tonight, Mia," he said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "Thanks, Jake," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. I wanted tonight to be special. "Let's make it one to remember," he said, raising his glass of wine. I clinked my glass against his, but the sound felt hollow. I couldn't shake the weight of my suspicions, and as he launched into a story about his day, I struggled to pay attention. "Is everything okay?" he finally asked, his brow furrowing. "You seem distracted?" "Everything's fine," I lied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. "Just a long week, I guess." He nodded, but I could see the concern etched on his face. The dinner progressed, but my heart wasn't in it. As we finished our main courses, I couldn't help but notice how his phone buzzed repeatedly on the table. Each vibration sent a jolt of anxiety through me. Later that night, when we returned home, I tried to shake off the unease. We settled on the couch, and I leaned against him, trying to enjoy the moment. Just as I was about to close my eyes, Jake's phone rang, breaking the silence. He answered it quickly, his voice dropping to a low murmur. "Yeah, I'll meet you there. No, she doesn't know," he said, glancing at me with a look I couldn't quite decipher. My heart raced as I strained to hear more. "Just keep it quiet for now. I'll figure it out." As he ended the call, I felt a chill run down my spine. The words echoed in my mind, and I realized that my world was about to unravel even further. What was he hiding? I lay in bed, the dim light from the street lamp filtering through the curtains, casting shadows that danced across the walls. Jake was sound asleep beside me, his steady breathing a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in my mind. I couldn't shake the image of him and Sarah laughing together, the way they leaned into each other as if they shared a secret that I was never meant to know. My heart raced as I turned to face him, a sudden surge of courage pushing me to act. Quietly, I reached for his phone on the nightstand. My hands trembled as I unlocked it, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. I was well aware that this was a breach of trust, but the gnawing anxiety urging me to uncover the truth drowned out any guilt. I scrolled through his messages, and my stomach twisted into knots as I stumbled upon flirty exchanges between him and Sarah. "Can't wait to see you again," one text read. Another suggested a rendezvous that sent ice coursing through my veins. "Damn it, Jake," I hissed under my breath, my voice barely a whisper. I felt a rush of anger and heartbreak wash over me. I quickly put the phone back down, sitting up and running my fingers through my hair. How could he do this? Just then, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I picked it up, my heart momentarily skipping a beat when I saw a message from an unknown number. "You don't know the whole story. Meet me at the cafe at 3 p.m. I was torn between fear and curiosity. Who could this be? What more could they possibly reveal? I glanced at Jake, still oblivious in his dreams. I had to confront him, but the weight of the unknown pulled at me like a tide. At the cafe later, I sat at a small table, my hands wrapped around a warm cup of coffee. Anxiety clawed at my insides as I waited. Finally, a figure approached, an unfamiliar woman with piercing blue eyes. "Mia?" she asked, her voice low and steady. "Yes, that's me," I replied, my heart racing again. "I have something important to tell you about Sarah," she said, her expression grave. "Something she's been hiding that connects all three of you in ways you can't imagine." I leaned in, every instinct screaming for answers. "What do you mean? What does Sarah have to do with me and Jake?" The woman hesitated, searching my face for understanding. "It's complicated, but you deserve to know the truth." My mind raced as I tried to digest her words. The web of secrets seemed to grow tighter around me, and I was desperate to untangle it. I needed to know how deep this betrayal went, and what role Sarah truly played in this twisted narrative. I paced back and forth in my small apartment, the weight of Sarah's betrayal heavy on my chest. The photograph I had received, along with the cryptic message from the unknown sender, haunted me. It wasn't just about Jake anymore. It was about the thread connecting all of us, a secret that had been buried for too long. I picked up my phone and texted Sarah, demanding she meet me at our favorite park. I needed answers, and I needed them now. When I arrived, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows on the ground, mirroring the turmoil within me. I spotted Sarah sitting on a bench, her face pale and drawn. She looked up as I approached, her eyes wide with apprehension. "Mia, she started, but I cut her off. "Save it, Sarah. I know about Jake. I know about the secrets." My voice trembled with a mix of anger and hurt. Her expression shifted, and I could see the fight draining from her. "You don't understand. I didn't want to hurt you. It's complicated." "Complicated? You've been lying to me. You were laughing with him at that hotel, and now you want to tell me it's complicated?" I crossed my arms, every fiber of my being desperate for the truth. Tears welled up in her eyes. "I can't just explain everything in a few minutes. Please, just listen." I nodded, my heart racing as she took a deep breath. "Jake and we've been connected since childhood. There's a reason we've been spending time together. Something happened with our families. I didn't want you to know. I thought it would be better this way." "What do you mean, connected? What happened?" I leaned closer, my curiosity piqued despite my anger. She pulled out a worn envelope from her bag and handed it to me. "This is a photograph of Jake from years ago. It has something to do with our families. You need to see it." As I opened the envelope, my hands trembled. Inside was a faded picture of a young Jake standing beside a little girl, myself. My heart dropped. "What is this?" I whispered, looking up at Sarah in disbelief. "Jake isn't who he claims to be, Mia. He has a hidden agenda. I didn't want to believe it either, but we're all tangled in this web." I stared at the photograph, the reality crashing down around me. The note attached read simply, "You need to know the truth." My mind raced, confusion swirling like a storm. The betrayal I felt for Jake was now mixed with something deeper, something that shook the very foundation of my trust in both Sarah and him. "This can't be happening," I murmured, my voice barely a whisper. As I looked up at Sarah, I realized I was standing on the precipice of something much larger than infidelity. I was caught in a storm of secrets that could ruin everything I thought I knew.